President Trump and Joe Biden already trading blows in what could be a preview of a 2020 showdown. President Trump going after the former VP on Twitter, saying, quote, "The media, fake news, is pushing Sleepy Joe hard. Funny, I'm only here because of Biden and Obama. They didn't do the job. And now you have Trump, who is getting it done big time," end quote. Meanwhile, Biden hitting back during his first campaign rally in Pittsburgh just moments ago.
I make no apologies. I am a union man, period. Folks, if I'm going to be able to beat Donald Trump in 2020, it's going to happen here. It's going to happen here in Western Pennsylvania.
This comes amid a new report that may explain why Biden's 2020 run hasn't been endorsed by President Obama. According to a new report, Obama tried to talk Biden out of running in 2016 because he thought Hillary Clinton was more electable. Kennedy, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, I think that the Democratic establishment coalesced around Hillary pretty early.
Yeah, it's so easy at this point to play Monday early evening quarterback. And it's so easy to say, you know, obviously Hillary Clinton wasn't the most electable candidate, but she had already had a nearly successful run. I understand that, but it also goes to show that Biden is a much more loyal person than President Obama. And we see that now because President Obama won't even endorse, his supposed good friend, his loyal VP who served him proudly for 8 years. So I think it's an interesting dynamic there. And it also goes to show, and we've seen this time and time again, President Obama really good at getting himself elected, terrible at getting other people elected.
Jesse, I think lots of people on the Democratic side view the establishment that coalesced around Hillary in 2016 as thinking it's good to have an open primary this time. Let the blows fall where they may, and we'll get the best candidate.
When Biden really needs the Obama endorsement, he can make that phone call. Right now, it's a little too early for that to happen. But if you think about it, when Barack Obama was thinking about who's going to win my third term, who's going to cement my legacy in there, he didn't think about Joe, who'd been with him for 8 long years, and that's pretty significant. I just saw that rally. That rally was weak. There was not a lot of people there. The people behind him looked bored. He looked like he was trying to counteract the Sleepy Joe narrative that had been forming. He was stumbling all over his lines, couldn't read the prompter well. He was stepping on things. He just did not look polished. He looked extremely rusty. And a lot of the people back in hair and makeup said they thought that he had fillers in and Botox. You know, I didn't say that, but a lot of people in hair and makeup said it. And they know, because they look at faces all day long. I will say this, though, about Joe. He cannot get a crowd. Are people going to drive miles and miles to listen to Joe Biden? No. Are people going to get Joe Biden tattoos on their backs like they did with Donald Trump and Barack Obama? No. He doesn't get ratings. He doesn't sell books. He doesn't get clicks. This guy is a candidate by default, and I think you're going to see that develop more and more.
So you don't think he gets the nomination?
I'm not saying that, but I don't see the excitement there. There's no movement. There's no doctrine. There's nothing there.
Well, Dana, do you think... You see, I happen to disagree, and based on sources I have to say that, in fact, Biden and Obama get along pretty good. But do you think it makes a difference?
Well, I also think it could hurt him. Okay, so there are a lot of people in the Democratic Party who think that Obama was not progressive enough, and they're mad at him for that. President Biden is going to have to excite the base if he can on his own. I also think we have to remember that in 2015, when the decisions were being made of who's going to run, Joe Biden had just lost his son. We all know that was a very public grieving, and we shared in that grief with him. And I think it could be, in the history books might show us in the future, if President Obama ever talks about it, what he was thinking in terms of trying to perhaps tell his friend, now might not be the time because you're not in a place where you could be able to carry a campaign off. I also think that for Obama, that he has only one chance to be either a kingmaker or a peacemaker. And why would he do that now? They have a long way to go in this primary. We could actually see a contested convention because of the way the new rules are. And so he could be the person that comes in and says, this is my person. Or he could say, OK, between the two of you, we're going to work this out. And he only has one chance to do that. He shouldn't do it now.
All right. Greg, do you have a favorite among these Democrats?
Oh, geez. No. You know what? When I was looking at the rally, there was a keen moment there. If you have this VO while he was talking. Look at this young fella. Okay, that's how I felt. Look at that. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't think this is Joe Biden's fault. I think that President Trump has ruined rallies and politicians for everyone. Even when you hear a politician talk in that political sing-song, oh, talking like this, and then talking like this, and then talk. It sounds so fake because Trump's just talking like a guy in a cab talking to you. And whether you like him or not, you can't listen to politicians anymore because he's destroyed that whole idea. Alyssa Milano gave the worst advice.
Oh, geez.
She said all the Democratic candidates should play nice with each other. No criticism.
No.
Okay, you know what that's like? That's like a friend telling you before you travel to some kind of tropical jungle, don't get the inoculations. You won't need them. Because if you aren't inoculated to the criticism now, and before you face Trump in the jungle, you're just going to get eaten alive by every bug that you've never recognized. He will crush you.
Well, it also creates a much more cruel environment because all of these campaigns are so passive-aggressive.
Yeah,
they'll be sing-songy and sweet to each other.
Oh, I can't
but
wait
then
for that
just
part.
put horrific things out.
It's going to be great.
You're saying Alyssa Milano's not a shrewd political...
She's the voice of the party. I actually do like, I like Tulsi. That's the only one I'm kind of interested in.
Why is that?
She zigs and zags. I like people who I'm not. If I hear two policy positions and I can't predict the third one, that's somebody I'm interested in.
She's unpredictable.
I think that's why you're interested in Donald Trump.
Yes, yes.
But I must say,
I can't predict anything.
There was a recent poll that said like more than 50% of Americans say can't vote for Trump next time. We'll see how that works out.
Polls.